Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Arknights reaction. Today we have Underneath the Spires. This song was a marginal win in the comments compared to, I think, Challengers was the other one. That was like a recent global release. This one had just a few more likes on it, so I'm going to be getting to this one today. The comment also said I should get to the theme variant, but I had apparently already heard that in one of the ambient synesthesia, so I'm not going to do that one. I'm not going to touch on it. I'm going to listen to this one because apparently it's supposed to be a barbershop quartet, and that just as a concept sounds really cool, because I don't think I've heard that sort of sound approached in any of the games I've talked about, so this might be super interesting, as well as it being written by Obadiah Brown Beach. So like, hey, I guess that's not something I'm used to him touching on, so this might be a whole experience. So without further ado, let's go. Oh? Okay. Okay. Not a barbershop quartet, but I see where the confusion lays. I'll get into that afterwards, but still really fun. Very similar harmonies to a barbershop, but that happens in any acapella stuff, really. But we'll get into that later. We're just gonna vibe with this, because, like, that's a tasty beat right there. Oh, man. Vibing with that beat. Ooh. Love those scoops and dips. Beautifully written. Ooh. Ooh. Neat filter there. It feels like Obadiah was listening to a bunch of voice play. A little bit of pentatonics, maybe. Pulled from that general acapella group inspiration there. That was really fun. So first things first, absolutely no hate to the commenter who said this was kind of like a barbershop quartet, because again, not a lot of people really know the difference of what a barbershop is versus a standard acapella grouping, and that is perfectly fine. Nobody on earth other than weirdos like me really know the difference to that, and the reason is you have to know music really well to understand the difference, or you just have to be aware of like the barbershop core as a whole and what that takes and what it means to be a barbershop quartet. And tonally, I get the confusion there, but the general focus is definitely very unique between a standard a cappella group and a barbershop quartet. For example, barbershops are usually written for a TTBB, which is a tenor, baritone, bass configuration in all of the harmonies, which is kind of what's happening in this group since it's all male vocals. But the difference there is the general focus on intonation and how they do intonation. So barbershops tend to use just intonation, which is like a pure form of intonation used by like 4:3 ratios and tones, which is way deeper than I'm going to get. That gets really deep into music theory, and I'm not going to try to break that all apart for you in this video to save you a bunch of mental space and myself as well, just time in general. But what that really means is the harmonies are settled on a lot of fifths and especially sevenths. Sevenths are like the core of all barbershop tones, and there are some sevenths in this as far as I can tell, and that's probably where that confusion comes from, because those harmonies, those sevenths, are used so often that they've kind of become synonymous with barbershop, and anytime somebody hears that, they go, hey, this must be barbershop, even if it's not true. And the other big difference is purely the acapella arrangement here. The fact that this song has a backing, it has a rhythm, it has a beat at all, means that it's not a barbershop quartet, because barbershops are exclusively acapella pretty much 100% of the time. Very few exceptions to that, and usually just for sake of showpiece. Like if they are a professional barbershop quartet, if they go to competitions and are doing this as part of like their livelihood, you can't have background music. It's like part of their rule system, I'm pretty sure, in professional barbershop, which is a thing, by the way. Watching pro barbershop quartets go at it is both fun and mad how skilled some of those vocalists are. Point aside, this is just a standard acapella arrangement where you have these vocals, you can match them with a backing track, that's fine. It's a little bit more Glee Club in that way, where like you have a focus on the vocalist for sure, but you definitely can have a support. Pitch Perfect, another good example of that. Just like having some sort of a backing track is pretty common for acapella groups these days. You can do sole acapella, but the focus on the harmonies is definitely not the same. Like I said, with the whole seventh thing in barbershop, regular acapella doesn't nail itself to that board as much, and it does have sevenths, but you can kind of flex with it and do a little bit more with it. You can go into thirds, you can do standard wholes, you could do octaves, stuff that like sure will also show up in barbershop, but isn't like their core focus, and it doesn't get that ringing tonality that barbershop is known for. You get those sevenths in there and that pure intonation, that's what creates that like really iconic barbershop sound, and it's just not what this is. But now that we know all about barbershop and acapella music and what the difference is, this song is just really cool as a whole. I say that all the time, this is very true. I love the harmonies in this, they are so tight, everything is just perfectly written around itself. You could tell that Obi wrote this with full intent of understanding those harmonic relationships in every single note that the vocalist sang, which I feel is one vocalist. I don't think there was multiple people in here. This sounded all like one person recorded, maybe pitch shifting things to get things into certain placements if their voice isn't able to go as low or as high as recorded, but I didn't really hear any of that. So either he did a really good job processing it, or the vocalist he used is just that decent, which is very possible. There's definitely people out there who can have this like 4-octave range, which is a lot of movement, but also, sure, totally realistic. But then, of course, you're just backing it with this awesome beat, and it's just like kind of slow. It's taking you on the ride, and you're just like, hey, what? Like, I couldn't help but like bob to it. I was having such a good time listening. That is kind of the core of why I love this song, is just how that backing was doing. The vocals in here were definitely fun. All those scoops, dips, and slides that they were doing, that was really creative, and again, another one of those reasons that probably feels a little barbershoppy, because they do that a lot in barbershop, and more in barbershop than standard acapella most of the time. It happens in both, but again, exceptions are exceptions. Those rules start to get a little bit fuzzy of what counts and what doesn't. Music is music, but in general, really, really fun. I loved that backing track. It has so much good rhythm to it, and it tied everything together so beautifully. The vocals were so tight, I would be absolutely surprised if I found out there wasn't some sort of a processing done to the vocalist at all, but I have also heard people sing beautifully tight in things like barbershop and professional acapella groups that are just insanely good even live. I mean, shit, we've all seen people like Pentatonics or like other professionals like Voice Play or even Home Free, brilliant vocal work from all those groups, and that's exactly what I'm talking about here. Like, that tightness can be achieved by pure acapella vocalists. It's also just kind of baffling, and it feels fake, especially when you put it into a song like this with this processed backtrack where you're like, okay, there's some electronic elements in there. There's definitely room to kind of hide some of that mix, but I really can't tell if they actually did any of that. I think it might have just been straight up a brilliant vocalist holding it all together, and with very minor post work done to it. Fantastic job all around. But I think I've yapped enough about this song, so thank you all so very much for watching, and maybe you learned something about acapella and the difference of barbershop in there too. And like I said, the professionals in those fields are brilliant. Go watch some professional barbershop or a cappella groups do their thing, and you'll just be like, how are these people walking around doing this sort of thing, having these sorts of tight, amazing harmonics with just being human? It just doesn't feel real sometimes. It's an amazing watch just to experience it. But of course, if you have any other songs from Arknights you want me to get to, by all means, drop them in the comments below and I will do my best to get to them as always. And if you just like this video and you want to follow me and support me for more stuff in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!